Today we're going to discuss evictions in Oregon, primarily in Linn, Benton, and Lincoln Counties. What is an FED eviction? An eviction is also called an FED, an abbreviation for forcible entry and detainer. It is a complaint filed with the court to have a tenant removed from property owned or managed by the person filing the complaint, usually the landlord. In most cases, the eviction process from start to finish only takes a few months, if that, and moves rapidly through the court system. The eviction process typically involves 5 phases: the notice, the filing, a hearing, a judgment, and the actual eviction. Evictions have long-term ramifications for tenants, including homelessness, the loss of personal possessions, decreased physical and or mental health, schooling problems for children, unemployment, housing discrimination, and the inability to find stable housing. So which populations are more susceptible to eviction? Due to systematic disparities in Oregon housing, this burden has fallen on Oregon's Black, Indigenous, Latino, Asian, Pacific Islanders, people of color, low-income renters, and renters lacking higher education. In Oregon, more than 13,097 households are now eligible for eviction because the state failed to get rent relief checks to their landlords on time. To date, the state has covered rent payments for roughly 19,613 Oregon households and has more than 20,000 pending applications. The payments cover up to 12 months of past due rent and 3 months of forthcoming rent. In September, the Oregon Housing and Community Services Department revealed that approximately 11,900 people in the state were at risk of eviction because they were past the 60-day and 90-day safe harbor protections. According to the Oregon Housing and Community Services Department, 21,960 households have applied for just under $123 million in rental assistance as of July 23rd, and so far, 1,245 households were approved for payment. Thousands are still in need of rental help and are waiting for lawmakers to do something. The agenda for this session includes the state providing an additional $190 million in rental assistance. So now we'll discuss FED eviction data that was collected from eCourt in Linn, Benton, and Lincoln Counties. So far, over 2,781 Oregon Emergency Rental Assistance Program applications were received from these 3 counties. The amount requested from all completed applications received in Oregon is roughly $447,614,198. The Oregon Housing and Community Services reported in November that 41% of applications were still under review, 15% needed more information from the landlord or the tenant, and 44% had been submitted for funding. In Linn, Benton, and Lincoln Counties, back rent is short, making it nearly impossible for tenants to catch up on their rent utility payments. In total, the estimated amount of back rent owed to landlords in Linn, Benton, and Lincoln Counties between July 1st, 2021 and January 1st, 2022 amounts to approximately $160,202. FEDs filed between July 1st, 2021 and January 1st, 2022 were a result of varying factors, including non-payment rent, repeat violations of a lease agreement, and things such as excessive damage to the housing unit. Other factors leading to eviction also include a notice for personal injury or outrageous conduct, an unlawful occupant residing in a residence, or the landlord is undertaking repairs, or has made an eviction without stated cause. You can see in the table the causes of evictions in Benton, Linn, and Lincoln Counties. You will notice that the non-payment of rent is the most common factor for an eviction. So now we'll talk about back rent evictions in Oregon. Recent estimates show that roughly 15% of Oregonians are behind on rent. Oregon renters owe approximately $378 million in back rent, according to Stout, a global investment bank and advisory firm. Oregon has received more than 1,600 applications from landlords who need over $19.5 million in assistance to cover unpaid rent. And here we will provide an explanation of Senate Bill 282. Recently, the Oregon legislature approved $250 million in funding to extend protections for renters facing evictions and to provide more rent assistance to Oregonians. Senate Bill 282 extends the repayment period for residential rent accrued during the COVID-19 pandemic, and the bill gives renters up until February 28, 2022 to pay back rent accrued between April 1st, 2020 and June 30th, 2021. Lawmakers are receiving $100 million for rent assistance and $5 million to the state housing agency to speed up its processing of applications, and another $10 million towards a fund to pay landlords even if their tenants don't get rent assistance. $100 million is being directed towards long-term renter protections and eviction prevention efforts. The 60-day eviction delay currently in place will be thrown out, and renters will be protected from evictions from the time that they apply until their applications have been processed. $14 million is committed towards affordable housing and homelessness prevention programs in Oregon's 14 largest cities. And this last slide discusses some landlord-tenant resources and organizations that may be of assistance to renters needing help with rental or assistance or utility assistance. The first organization listed is the Community Services Consortium. They can help with rental and utility assistance. Then there's a Housing and Community Services Department. Something I'd like to point out is the Oregon Emergency Rental Assistance Program. They have an application online that can be filled out and submitted. The Oregon Housing and Community Services of the state of Oregon is a great resource, as well as the Oregon Low Income Home Energy Assistance Program. There's also the Oregon Rental Housing Association and utility bill payment assistance from the state of Oregon. These resources are all online. Please reference them if needed. And thank you for attending this presentation.